Who are the people of the Most High? Israelites.
All right, shalom. Brakatha Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Wa Barak, Wa Rapah, Wa Kazak, to the apostles, elders, and the brethren throughout the four corners, I want to say shalom. And I wanted to talk a little bit about a term that's out there in the world called British Israelism. And the term British Israelism basically deals with the fact of the so-called white man trying to say that they go back to the line of, that they go back to the 10 lost tribes of Israel, which is total bullshit, because according to the history in the Bible, the tribes came across here to the Americas in 724 BC. Okay, it documents that in the book of First Kings, in the book of Kings, it documents about the tribes being in the Assyrian captivity. And then in the Apocrypha, it speaks about how under the Assyrian captivity, the 10 tribes left from under the Assyrians, and they came to a land where mankind never dwelt.
At the moment, there are only two ways of reaching it. By sea, sailing around the African continent. The journey takes a year. Or by land. But the Turks have closed this route to all Christians. There is a third way. By sailing west across the ocean sea.
The distance is unknown. It's said to be infinite.
Superstition. I believe the Indies are no more than 750 leagues west of the Canary Islands.
How can you be so certain?
The calculations of Toscanelli, Marin de Tir, Esdras.
Esdras is a Jew.
So what's worse?
2 minutes, and already you're a dead man.
For telling the truth?
Yes. We are burning people for less.
So Esau has a term. I'd just like to read a little bit about it. It's called British Israelism. Also called Anglo-Israelism, is a pseudo-archaeological movement which holds the view that the people of the British Isles are genetically, racially, and linguistically the direct descendants of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, with roots in the 16th century. So that's just a little bit that I wanted to touch on that right there. So what they're trying to say is that based off of that they go back to the 10 lost tribes of Israel, which we know is a lie. You got that?
This is Deuteronomy 32:7. It says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations.
Right. The scriptures say, remember the days of old and consider the years of many generations. Now, the scriptures also say, what is that, Jeremiah 17? What is it, 17:4, 17:5?
That's a discontinued.
Right, if you could get that for me. Right. The scriptures say that in Jeremiah 17 that we shall discontinue from the heritage that the Lord gave us, right? So what happens is the so-called white man has done hijacked our identity. It's basically identity theft. Okay. And now the thing with British Israelism, where really the roots of it go back to, where I wanted to veer off and go into and speak about a little bit, was the Greek poet named Homer, around 750 BC, wrote a poem called the Iliad, which talked about the war, the 10-year war, which is known as the Trojan War. Now this 10-year war, some scholars say it was from 1194 BC to 1184 BC. Some say 1191 BC to 1181 BC. The significance of me making mention of the Trojan War is because later on, the people who survived the Trojan War were the ones that eventually went and set up Great Britain, or set up what we know today as Britain. And the word Britain basically means covenant man or man of the covenant. Now, the men of the covenant are Israelites. And it's not the so-called white man. But now going back to the Trojan War, Homer in his poem, the Iliad, documents the last, you could say, maybe say 2 months of that 10-year war. The war was sparked on by, you had King Priam, who was the king of the Trojans, and I believe it was his son Paris, the younger son, and he had his son Hector. Paris had committed adultery with Helen, who was the wife of the king of Sparta at that time, who was Menelaus, who was the brother of Agamemnon. Agamemnon was the king of the Greeks, and Menelaus was the king of Sparta, and his woman was Helen. Paris brought Helen to Troy, and he had committed adultery with her, thus the Trojan War begins. But now the hierarchy of the Trojans goes back to a group of people known as the Dardanians. Now, who are the Dardanians is the question. The Dardanians, I'm gonna go into the Bible. Now we're gonna go into the Bible. Give me the book of Genesis 38:27 down to 30. And then after that, I'm gonna need the book of
Deuteronomy what?
Give me Genesis 38:27 to 30. Okay, let me close this up because I ain't gonna really need this.
Genesis 37.
Genesis 38 verses 27 and 30.
Gotcha.
Because when you go into it and when you check it out, the descendants of the hierarchy of the Trojan Empire went back to the Dardanians. Now, the Dardanians, that name Darda, what does it go back to? Now we're going to read here in the Bible.
This is Genesis 38:27. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread.
Right. This is dealing with the patriarch Judah. See, the patriarch Judah, this is dealing with the woman Tamar. When you read the story, he had 3 other sons previous to what he's reading right now in Genesis. You had and Onan, and there was another son which I forget his name. And the Lord killed both of those sons. Judah promised Tamar a son that she was supposed to marry. Judah kind of forgot about her and left her out there. So then Tamar dressed herself up as a harlot, waited by the road, and basically she tricked Judah into popping her and laying a seed in her.
Yep.
And then when it was found out that it was her, Judah said, hey, you've been more righteous than me, because he had promised her a son. But nevertheless, the child that he had with her, he actually had 2 sons with this woman Tamar. And that's what he's reading about. Go ahead.
And the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying that this came out first. And it came to pass that he drew back his hand, and that, behold, his brother came out.
Right. So what happened was Tamar was pregnant with twins. So the first son, his hand came out, and they put a scarlet rag around his hand to show that he was the firstborn. But just his hand came out. But then the other brother, whose name is Pharez, which I believe means breach in the Hebrew, he just jumped the gun and he just came out. So Pharez actually was the firstborn instead of the son who was going to come out next, which is Zara, who had the red scarlet. It's going to explain around his hand. Go ahead.
And his brother came out, and she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez.
Right, his name was called Pharez because of the breach. This breach be upon thee.
And afterward came out his brother, and afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah.
Right, and his name was called Zerah. So these are the 2 sons that Judah had with the woman Tamar. Now, the name of Dardanus, or the Dardanians, it actually goes back to a son that Zerah had. Now read on. It might be a little bit more there. What verse is that?
That was the last on the 30.
Now get me the book of 1 Chronicles 2 verses 3 to 8. Because that name, Dardanus, in history, when you search it out, some people try to say that the actual man Dardanus came from a place called Samothrace, and but most people concur that it's going back to the sons that came out of Zara in the Bible. That's what most of the scholars concur at. Now, what does it say there in Chronicles?
First Chronicles, the sons of Judah.
Right.
First Chronicles 2 and 3. The sons of Judah, and Onan and Shelah, which were three, were born unto him of the daughter of Shua, the Canaanites.
Right, so there you go. Judah's first three sons were born of a Canaanite woman. You know, in other words, for you retarded niggas out there talking about, oh, you got to get with an Israelite sister. Look, wait a minute. When the 12 patriarchs was on the earth, there wasn't no Israelite woman there. There was one. Her name was Dinah, which was their sister, and they couldn't pop their sister. Okay, that's incest. So Judah, his first three sons, was with a Canaanite woman. All right, that's a Hamite woman, by the way. And those three sons, did that make them less being from the tribe of Judah because their mother was a Canaanite woman? No. They're 100% Judah. You 100% whatever your father is. It don't matter what your mother is. The term mamzer means when an Israelite woman has sex with a heathen man and brings forth that child is a mamzer. But an Israelite man having sex with a woman of the other nations is producing a 100% authentic Israelite child. It just had a heathen mother. That's all.
Yeah, that's why they call this the testicles the family stones.
Right.
Or jewels.
They're called the family jewels for a reason. They ain't talking about a woman's breasts or her ovaries. A man's balls are known as the family jewels.
It says, and the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him. And Tamar, his daughter-in-law, bare him Pharez and Zerah. All the sons of Judah were 5. And the sons of Pharez, Hezron, and Hamul, and Heman, and Calcol, and Dara.
Right, and Dara. That name, Dara, right there. And the sons of Zerah, Dara. Now, I believe you got the Bible dictionary in your hand. Could you look up the word Dara? D-A-R-A, there in the Bible dictionary. See what it says there? Because I'm backtracking and going through this because it's gonna lead somewhere. Pardon me.
Kind of found it. Dara, or Darda.
Right, Dara or Darda. D-A-R-D-A. Go ahead.
A member of the noted family of wise men, either son of Mahol, 1 Kings 4 and 31, or Zorah, 1 Chronicles 2 and 6.
Right. Or Zorah, 1 Chronicles 2 and 6. All right. So now, I want to read something else. I want you to give me the book of 1 Kings 4 and 31.
Gotcha.
1 Kings 4 and 31.
1 Kings 4 and 31. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan, the Ezrahite, and Heman, and Calcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol.
Right, and Darda, the sons of Mahol. Now these were Solomon's brethren out of the line of Zerah, because Solomon, King Jesse, David, Solomon came out of the line of Pharez, right? But now out of the line of Zara came all these other sons. Read the names again.
Okay. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan, the Ezrahite, and Heman, and Calcol, and Darda, the son of Mahol, and his fame was in all nations round about.
Right. Those men right there from the sons of Zara were Solomon's chief wise men that he took counsel with these men. Of the sons of Zerah is who Solomon seek counsel with. And then when you go to Matthew's, the 1st chapter, if we can get Matthew's, the 1st chapter. Get Matthew's, the 1st chapter. Start at about the 3rd verse.
Matthew's 1 and 3. And Judas begat Phares, and Zara, and Thamar, and Phares begat Ezram, and Ezram begat Aram. And Amram began Aminadab, and Aminadab begat Nason, and Nason begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Booz and Rechab, and Booz begat Obed of Ruth.
Boaz, right? Booz or Boaz, however you pronounce it, right? Because he dealt with Ruth.
And Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias.
Yeah, so that's just reading the line, that royal line of Judah, but you see that Zara is mentioned there in the royal line of Judah. When the brother was reading it, Zara was mentioned, the direct royal line of Judah went through Phares, but Zara is also of the royal line of Judah also. And the sons of Zara was Solomon's chief councilman. Now, out of the sons of Zara comes Darda, or Dardanus, that is spoken of in the Greek Iliad, to whom the Trojan hierarchy descended from. So the Trojan hierarchy descended from Dardanus. Dardanus goes back to is one of the sons of Zara in the Bible. Let's go back to the 1 Chronicles 2 and 3 again.
Gotcha. 1 Chronicles 2 and 3. It says, the sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, which three were born unto him, and the daughter of Shua the Canaanites, of the daughter of Shua the Canaanites, and and the firstborn of Judah was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him. And Tamar his daughter-in-law bare him Phares and Zerah. All the sons of Judah were 5. And the sons of Phares, and Hezron, and Hamul, and the sons of Zerah, Zimri, and Ethan, and Heman, and Calcol, and Dara, 5 of them in all. And the sons of Carmi, Achar, the troubler of Israel, who transgressed in the thing accursed.
Right. So that's it on that. So now, according to when you check out the Greek Iliad, again, like I said, the descendants of Troy went back to Dardanus. The name Dardanus or Darda or the Dardanians goes back to Judah right there in the Bible. Is one of the sons of Judah, out of Judah's son Zerah. So the Trojan hierarchy, which that would mean that King Priam, who was played by a white man in the movie Troy with Brad Pitt, King Priam is supposed to be a black man. His son Paris is supposed to be a black man. Hector is supposed to be a black man. But you got white people to play these roles. Give me Job 8 and 8. But you got so-called white people to play these roles, and you so-called white people are claiming through this term called British Israelism that you are the descendants of the Israelites, and you're not. You're the descendants of Esau. You're Edom.
That's right. Liar. Job 8 and 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to search of their fathers.
Right. So we're supposed to prepare ourselves for the search of our fathers. Now, the Trojan War lasted 10 years. So now after, the Trojan horse and the Greeks breached and got in the city and burnt the walls down, the people who escaped of the Trojan hierarchy, which go back to the Dardanians, are the ones that founded Britain. They were the ones that later on had founded Britain and named the land and gave the land that name. So the word Britain means man of the covenant. Now the men of the covenant, Psalms 147, 19 and 20, and give me Leviticus 26 and 46. Right? Because if the name Britain means covenant man or man of the covenant, who was the covenant given to? Because it wasn't given to you so-called white people. You never received the covenant. The covenant was given to the 12 tribes of Israel. It started with Abraham, and then it went to Isaac, and then it went to Jacob. See, it didn't go to Esau. Esau is Isaac's son, but it went to Jacob, not Esau.
Psalms 147:19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgment unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Give me Leviticus 26 and 46. right? He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, right? The Lord have not dealt so with any nation. So again, the land of Britain, which means covenant man or man of the covenant, the only men who received the covenant are the men of Israel. You Edomites didn't receive the covenant.
This is Leviticus 26 and 46. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses.
Look at that. These are the laws, statutes, and judgments which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. So now, with this term, British Israelism, you also use that term to say that the kings of England descended directly from King David and King Solomon, that they were Judah. The kings of England did go back to King David and King Solomon, but not through you so-called white people. Because the scriptures say this. Give me Jeremiah 14 and 2. The scriptures say this about the tribe of Judah. By the way, this brother reading, he's from the tribe of Judah. Take a good look at him.
This is Jeremiah 14 and 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
Now the scripture says there in the Bible, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem has gone up. Now in the Hebrew, the way that Yiddish that you so-called Jews speak, it would say Kordadu la'aretz, which means dark unto the earth, right? Or in the right way, Kodarwa la'arataza, okay? Dark unto the earth. Now it says the tribe of Judah is dark unto the earth. Now if you get some dirt over here, right, and you look at it, well, you know, the grass is covering it right now. You can see it right there. You can see it. You can pretty much see it a little bit there. Look at the brother's hand, and look at the dirt, because the scriptures say Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. Dark are they unto the earth. Right? So the scriptures say that. So now give me Song of Solomon 1 and 5. So let's read about the wisest Jew that ever walked the earth, King Solomon. Now the scriptures say this about King Solomon.
You said Song of Solomon 1 and 5?
Yeah, Song of Solomon and King James.
Oh, okay.
5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're going to read this to show you what the Bible says that Judah looks like. Because it's damn sure it's not you so-called white people. So there's no way in hell that you can claim to be the descendants of somebody with this falsehood that you've been spreading for, hell, the past what 500 years since we went down. Yep. Because during the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages, black people were ruling. And there's all kinds of information out there. Hell, even one of your founding forefathers, Benjamin Franklin, in 1751, when he penned that essay, he was complaining in the essay that all these other lands out there, he spoke about Asia, he spoke about Spain, I believe he mentioned Portugal, he talked about Germany, that all these different lands was full of nothing but black people. And this was in 1751. Benjamin Franklin was complaining about the fact that all of these lands, European lands, by the way, were full of black people. Not you damn so-called white people. He was complaining about it. And you can go look it up. Just look up Benjamin Franklin's essay of 1751. And just read it. Read the last paragraph, and it gives you everything that you need to know.
And what's that icon you always bring out with Constantine and the Council
of Nicaea. You go look at the Council of Nicaea, 324 AD, which is known as the First Ecumenical Council. And you're going to see Constantine the Great, and all the men there are dark as hell. Now that was in 324 AD, and that was after the fact of Severus Septimius. That was after the fact of Marcus Aurelius, who Marcus Aurelius was a Jake, also an Israelite. There's an icon of Marcus Aurelius in his triumphal car riding into Rome, and it shows him with an afro and a nappy beard. Damn sure ain't a so-called white man. Marcus Aurelius was before Severus Septembrius, and Severus Septembrius had a rival named Persinius Niger, who they said his neck was so black, many believe he got the name Niger. Now, if your neck is black, what the hell is the color of the rest of your body? Right. Look at my neck, or look at this brother's neck, and then look at the rest of my body.
Yeah, the ring around the color. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it said about Persinius Niger that his neck was so black that many believe he got the name Niger. He was dark-skinned.
This is Song of Solomon 1:5. It says, I am black but comely.
Wait a minute. King Solomon said in the Bible, he's Judah, by the way, he said, I am black but comely, meaning I'm black and I'm beautiful. Comely is Quaker English, meaning beautiful.
Says, I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
As the tents of Kedar. The word Kedar means dark-skinned. He says, as the tents of Kedar, because Ishmael had a son that he named Kedar because Ishmael's son Kedar was so dark. He named him Kedar. He named him dark-skinned because he was so dark. So then Solomon says here, I am black but comely as the tents of Kedar, which means dark-skinned. So Solomon wasn't no goddamn white man. Read it again. Call it again.
God. Song of Solomon 1:5. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They have made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept.
So King Solomon says there that I am black and I am comely. Now, again, going back to the Trojan War that took place, and Homer speaks about it in the Greek Iliad. Now, after the war took place, the remnants of the hierarchy, of the Trojan hierarchy that escaped, they escaped on ships and they sailed. They landed in the area, I believe, which is modern day today, France. And they fought through, they had to fight through the French and go northward up into the land that later became known as Britain. So they fought through the French, and at that time, that was Japhet that was up there in that land. And by the way, if I forgot to mention, where the city of Troy was located at is what you call today Turkey. The landmass that's called today Turkey is where the ancient city of Troy was located at. So that was located in Turkey.
It's all from there.
That was located in Turkey. All right. Turkey is right over there. Turkey is right up there. It's like northwest of the land of Syria, which is the northern part of Israel. So that city, Troy, was located in the land that we know today as Turkey. So after the fall of Troy, the descendants who made it out of there, of the Dardanians, they sailed, they landed in basically what the land that's known as France. They fought through the French at that time, which wasn't the so-called white man. Those were the Japhites that was up in there. They fought through them and they went north, and then they settled in the land that became known as Britain or Britannia. I believe the actual man who was a descendant of the Dardanians through the Trojans, I believe his name was Brito, and they changed it to Brutus. So he led them through France up into the land that became known as Britain, and gave it the name Britain or Britannia, which means covenant man or man of the covenant. So the covenant men going back to who? Going back to Judah. So that we just read the scriptures, that wipes you so-called white people up out of there. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover, dealing with the subject. We could end on let's go back, let's hit Deuteronomy 32:7 one more time, and we'll end it there. We're gonna end it off there, because the scriptures say, prepare to search for thy fathers. See, the so-called white man, you've been lying your ass off since day one. You've been lying and lying and lying, and now you're being caught in your lies, and now you're being called out on your lies. You do have scholars out there that protest the whole philosophy of British Israelism anyway, but if all this holds to be true, this is not talking about you. This is talking about the Israelites, that descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. The Israelites didn't come out of Esau. They came out of Jacob.
This is Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee.
Right. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, and I hope it was edifying. I hope brothers was able to learn something off of this. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.